Hello, I'm Keith Kreisher, Executive Director of the IoT MTEM Council, or IMC, and we're here at CES 2024 talking with Tony Guerion, Head of Global IoT Sales with Vodafone. Vodafone, of course, being a very auspicious company within IoT circles. Tony, welcome. We're here to talk about IoT sustainability, so happy to have you.
Thank you, Keith. Very nice.
Start us off. Talk to us about Vodafone's own internal efforts focused on sustainability. Can you give us an overview of that?
Yeah, thank you, Keith. So sustainability is clearly part of what we do in the IoT line of business in Vodafone. Actually, we believe that what is good for the planet is likely to be good for the businesses and our customers in general. Yeah. And so we really contribute in the broader term to the sustainability agenda of our customers through digitalization or for what they actually have to do and execute across their industries. We work, for instance, a lot across the smart metering industry. We work a lot with the OEM and car manufacturers around the electrification of their cars and around the decarbonization of society in general. So sustainability is really central and pivotal to everything we do. And in that respect, we've actually set a number of targets for ourselves, three mainly. First of all, by 2025, we want to buy 100% of our electricity from renewable sources and make sure that we resell or reuse 100% of our network waste.
Obviously, Vodafone's a huge concern, and that's a big deal.
A really big deal. By 2030, we want to have eliminated all carbon emission and want to have halved all indirect carbon emission, meaning that we will be able to contribute to the saving of 350 million tonnes of CO2 emission with our customers. And by 2040, we want to have achieved net zero status, which hopefully we are very much in line to achieve.
Talking more generally about IoT technology and sustainability, can you give us some use cases that are out there in the industry that are making things happen in terms of helping the environment?
Yeah, so I could mention many. I mentioned the smart metering industry. Obviously, IoT is pivotal to connect the smart meter and help the utility industry in general, not only electricity but water as well, for instance, to help end customers around consumption, to monitor water waste, etc. And I also mentioned the car industry and the electrification. Now we are also doing smaller projects. For instance, we work with Prague City in Czech to implement a number of sensors across the irrigation networks in the city to understand how to reduce water consumption for all the green areas in the city. And so far we've achieved 56%, which I think is a good result. We also have another example where we are basically connecting trees with the DEFRA project. And here the purpose is really
connecting trees.
The purpose is actually to understand how trees are growing and how they can actually contribute to absorbing more CO2 and making air a lot better in the future. But I could also have mentioned work that we do with water companies and or what we do, for instance, in Ibiza, where we are helping connecting some of the marine world to make sure that water quality in general is what it should be.
Wow, interesting stuff. Now, Vodafone publishes an annual Fit for the Future report, which has in part concluded that businesses see sustainability as really a strategic imperative. Can you, and apparently within this report, half of the U.S. firms surveyed said that environmental sustainability has helped them improve their financial performance. Can you tell us some of the highlights or the lessons learned from that report?
Maybe three highlights, and I think you mentioned one of them, which is that the companies that have actually invested into their ESG program end up doing better in general. And when we looked at the top performing companies, 47% of them had actually a very active ESG plan and strategy in place. So that's the first highlight. The second highlight is that actually ESG sustainability in general is not a nice to have anymore. This is now really part of the strategy of the companies, and all the CEOs and companies that we have interviewed confirmed that they saw ESG and sustainability as a key differentiator moving forward,
Wow.
and one that actually consumers were very sensitive about, and one that they were basically considering in their purchasing behavior. So that's probably the second one. And the third one, to come back to the US view of sustainability in general, the companies tend to be a lot more optimistic than what we see in other parts of the world. 7 out of the 10 companies that we interviewed basically said that they were fairly or actually comfortable with achieving their ambitious target in the coming years, where that number is actually significantly lower in other parts of the world. So actually US firms believe that they will achieve or actually even do better.
I find that somewhat surprising, but good to know.
So these are probably the three things to actually take away from
Wow. That's interesting
report.
stuff. Hey, Tony, thanks so much for coming by and talking to us today. Tony Guerion from Vodafone, and a key player in the IoT ecosystem.
Thank you, Keith.